It started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our first in the five-part series of our Autism Acceptance Month celebrations. Tonight, we are here with Eric Blessed Carpenter Grantham and his mother, Linda. And so, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for allowing us an opportunity to converse with you and to just tell us about your exceptional story and the exceptional things that you're doing in your community. So I'll give you an opportunity to kind of just introduce yourself briefly and tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Linda Carpenter Grantham. I'm Eric's mom. Fun thing for me is I am very passionate about autism. And so I advocate and I do fashion shows in the community for children as well as adults with disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, bipolar. And we do the fashion shows with like Macy's and Lord & Taylor. So I'm actually in the process of starting my own nonprofit titled The Blue Runway for Autism. So that's what I enjoy doing. That's fun for me and passionate for me at the same time.
Amen. And Eric?
Thank you for having me today, ma'am.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
So tell her your name, your whole name, and what you love doing.
My name is Eric Bless Carpenter Grantham. What I love to do is love going to church, worship Jesus, and what do I love to do is support autism as well as my mother. I love autism kids, supporting my community, join many special needs companies.
Okay. Okay.
And I love to sing, and I love music.
That's right. I was wondering if you was going to say that sing part because I done seen you in action. I know you love doing that. So, my first question is your name. Your middle name is Blessed. Now, is that your given name, or did that come when your mom realized how special you were?
That is his name. That is his name, Eric Blessed. And I wanted to name him Blessed because I knew that there would be some obstacles in his life. And when you say it, you speak it into existence is what God's word says. So I always want him to be blessed. So I wanted to include Blessed into his name.
Well, you sure did live up to that, didn't you, Eric?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So tell me a little bit about early childhood for Eric, Linda, and diagnosis and what that process was like for you, both just dealing with medical professionals and coming to the realization of what it was that meant and making yourself knowledgeable in the area and how those things went.
Okay, so when Eric was really young, I would say he wasn't quite a year yet. I noticed that, there was something different going on. It took him a very long time to, crawl, walk, feed himself. Sometimes he would have these little moments where he would shake a lot, he would just shake a little bit. And so I wound up taking him to Children's Hospital in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And he wound up seeing the head doctor there for developmentally delayed children. His name is Dr. Nathaniel Beers, like a beer you drink. And he is just exceptional at being very informative on how to, help your child that has developmentally delayed issues. Because at that time, I didn't know if Eric was going to have autism or what it was. They just kept saying, he's delayed. And so Dr. Beers told me that I would need to recreate Eric's birth. I said, well, what does that mean? And he said, well, you're going to have to swaddle him a certain kind of way in a blanket, no bright lights, no loud noises, and just kind of have to, be very gentle in that way. And again, I still didn't know much about autism. I knew nothing about, kids with special needs. I knew nothing. Mm-hmm. And so we did, we recreated the whole thing that he told us to do. As Eric got older, a little older, I would give him the spoon, the little baby spoon, to feed himself. He couldn't do that. It took him a long time. And I was like, something is going on. So we wound up going through the Infants and Tots program in Maryland at that time. And they were also very informative on, educating me on helping Eric as he was younger and, how to get him more help and all that kind of stuff. And then as he got older, he couldn't tie his shoes. He just learned how to tie his shoes. Was it last year?
I think like 2 years, I think.
So he's going to be 17 this year. So I think he was 15. He learned how to tie his shoes.
But as you were going through this process and they kept telling you that he was developmentally delayed and he did not have a diagnosis of autism, did you feel supported by the community that you were utilizing, the hospital, the doctors? Was that community supportive to you?
Now, as far as Eric's doctor, I felt very supported. But as far as just in the community, no. And I would say no, because at that time, 17 years ago, I don't think a whole lot of people knew about autism and knew how to support someone with it. I wound up going to Prince George's Community College. They have a children's developmental clinic there on Saturdays for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. And what they do is they have clinicians come into the gym on Saturday mornings, and they have them to help your child with things that are very difficult for them, just like balancing themselves on a beam or jumping on a trampoline just for motion, or reading, speech. And so while the kids are in the gym with the clinicians, they have someone to facilitate. And this woman, her name is Deborah Martin, whom is a very, very close friend of mine today. And she also goes to my church. But she is a psychologist, a legal advocate for kids with autism and disabilities. And she also facilitates, and she also has her own practice, her own business. But she was very, very, very supportive and very informative on teaching me how to help Eric. One of the things that she did that really helped me was she had me and a couple of other parents, she had brought in some gardening gloves. She had us to put on the gloves. She gave us all a pack of chewing gum. She said, I want you to open this gum as fast as you can, get a stick out and open it up as fast as you can with the gloves on. It was very difficult. And so she said, this is what your child is going through with motor skill issues. So when you're rushing your child, you're saying, button that shirt, hurry up and get those pants because you got to go to school, button it up, zipping it up, and it's taking them a long time. Don't be impatient with them because this is what it feels like for them. It's very difficult. That was the first eye opener for me, And then Eric, he always loved to draw. He always loved art. He drew this picture one day. He loved trains too, which is something that is associated, it seems, with young boys with autism. They love trains. But he drew this picture one day, and the picture was of everything, like the subway train, buildings. He loves buildings, just like the world. And the people that he drew, their eyeballs were just like, big with just lashes and no pupil. And so I noticed about the picture is that there was no separation in the picture. Like everything was just together. There was no separation of anything. And I talked to Deborah Martin about it, and she was like, most kids may see the world that way. They have autism. They don't see separation. They don't see that, it's a building here and a train there. They just see everything clumped together. And I thought that was really interesting too. And
what profundity in just something as small as that, and you having an opportunity to speak to someone who can kind of break that down and explain to you what that meant. When you first started talking about him being diagnosed as developmentally delayed, you didn't mention them using the word autistic, and you said you didn't know. So when was the first time, at what age, when was the first time you heard someone say Eric is autistic?
I want to say that he was maybe 3 or 4 years old. They came these different tests, they were doing all these different tests and all kinds of things. And I want to say he was maybe 3 or 4 years old when I really first heard autism. Before that, it was just delayed. But I really want to say it was maybe 3 or 4 years old.
And so at that point, we know that you have this link with this community center that you can go to on the weekends. But in terms of just general education, and at 3, 4 years old, you have preschool, Head Start, and soon kindergarten. Tell me a little bit about what you had to do to figure out how he would be supported in these big environments he would be going into.
So again, I didn't really have a large support system that could really help me as far as being educated about it.
Mhm.
I was learning as I was going along as well. I can remember whenever Eric would hear loud noises at a young age, he would scream, he would hold his ears. That was another thing that one of the doctors had shared with me about him being autistic, is that they told me they felt like he had sensory issues,
Mhm.
with the hearing, the taste and the smell. And that was another thing with the taste. He just wanted to eat the same exact thing over and over and over again. It was very hard to introduce, different foods to him. And I can remember, different friends and family saying to me, you need to feed him vegetables. He won't eat vegetables. You need to do this. And I was like, he won't eat it. He won't eat it. A lot of times he would smell the food, and was something about it he didn't like. He just wouldn't eat it, or he would cry. He would push it away. But he always wanted the same exact thing. And with the hearing, one day I picked him up from daycare. He must have been maybe about 5 or 6 years old.
Mhm.
And the teacher told me he would always, whenever he would see an airplane, he would say, car, and point into the sky. So he told me that, she said, Miss Grantham, we think Eric can hear airplanes before they come. So I said, what? You kidding? So they said, no. They said that he would point up in the sky and say, car, 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 car. Nothing would be there. And then a few moments later, the airplane would come. So I did witness it a couple of times with one of my coworkers. We were in her car, actually. She was taking us home. And she had her radio on, not blasting, but, just she and I have a conversation. He was in the back seat saying, car, 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 car. A few moments later, the airplane is coming. So I had that conversation with his doctors as well. And that's when he has, very heightened sensory issues with his smell, his hearing, his touch, his taste, all of that. So.
Okay. Eric, we're talking about you and about your world, but this is the world that you live in. Tell us from your perspective what it was like as you were growing up and your youngest memories. Did you feel any different?
Yeah, I feel kind of different.
Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
I can try for you.
Okay.
I feel like that I was having ADHD. I remember I couldn't even tie my shoes. But now I don't have ADHD no more, and now I can tie my shoes, which is a blessing. And I feel like it took me a long time
Mhm.
to like I'm looking at you now, but I used to do this all the time. I don't want to look at people, but now I
Okay.
do that now.
Can you tell me a little bit about the process to getting to that point?
It took me a long time, and I used to be scared looking at other people, but now I'm not scared no more.
All
Really,
right.
Can you
So,
how you feel about being autistic, about how you feel ashamed of it? Can you tell her about that? Tell her how you feel.
sometimes I feel ashamed having autism, but sometimes it is a blessing to have autism because I change people's lives. I change people, like parents with autism kids. I change their life.
How do you do
Like
that? Tell her.
last week, my cousin was having a customer at her job, and she
mhm.
son with special needs, and my cousin told me about me having autism and stuff like that.
Mhm.
My cousin gave
The lady.
my mom's number to call her.
Okay.
So he's saying that one of my relatives at her job, a lady came in. She had her son with her who has autism, and she was telling my niece that she has her son has autism. So she shared with the lady that I have a son who has autism, and the lady was very, very, very happy to hear that because she needed to link up with another family or another parent that has somebody in their life with autism, because autism really can be a very lonely world for a lot of parents. A lot of kids, I know that they like to be by themselves. They're happy in their own environment being alone. But for parents who are going through that and other people on the outside don't understand it, and they're constantly judging you and saying, how come he's doing this and he's this old and he shouldn't be doing that, playing with these little toys or whatever it may be. People walk up to you and they just say anything. They're judging you. They don't really know because they can't see the disability. They can't, the situation. That is very frustrating. So yeah, this lady was very happy. I did call her and we had a very long conversation, and she was like, I'm just so happy to be able to talk to somebody who understands. So that's what he's talking about, how he changed people's lives.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you probably have 1,001 stories like that. Being
Oh yes.
autistic is your superpower, right?
Oh yes, we got more people who I changed lives for.
You keep on doing it. Oh, Eric, you have profound faith, and we know that you are touched by God and there is a purpose on your life, and you continue to spread that. And I just want to know, when did you first know that about yourself?
I remember it started in 2016. And
Okay.
I remember that when my mom told me I was going to have the heart surgery in 2016. And my heart surgery anniversary is next week, so that's nothing but God. I remember 5 years ago, my mom told me that I was going to have the heart surgery, and I asked God, why do you hate me? And I wonder why you was going to let me have this surgery. And I was so scared to have it because I was so scared I was going to die. And I don't know what I was going to do, but it was nothing but God. And I kept having hope, and I survived through the heart surgery. And look at me now.
And so for you guys who don't know, Eric had a congenital heart defect and required open heart surgery, which he had, like he said, in 2016. And right around that is when your first documentary, right before the heart surgery, right? The first documentary on you was done. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
It would show my Dr. Claus, and it would show how and why I'm going to have the heart surgery, and it will explain you, and it will show some people who are in my life, and it will show Miss Deborah too, and show some people who love me in that in the first video.
Linda, how did that documentary come about?
Okay, so there is a gentleman who went to my church. He doesn't go there anymore. He moved away to Alabama now, but he has his own media company called 1029 Media Group, LLC. And he and I and Deborah, because Eric was so young and he would sing like these really old, very old gospel songs like James Cleveland. And I can remember when Bobby Jones retired, Eric came in my room and he was crying really, really hard. And I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? So he was like, Mommy, Bobby Jones is retiring. And he was crying. So I was like, oh my God, Eric, he's 70 something years old. It's time for him to retire. But, it was things like that Deborah and his name is Kent Ballard that we would talk about. And we talked about him doing a documentary about Eric. And Kent was saying, this would be amazing for us to do that, to show how spiritual he is, even though he's autistic, but to show how God shows himself in Eric, even at him having a disability. Because, we think sometimes that things that we're going through, there's no out, there's no blessing in it. But God shows himself in things we think are impossible. So He showed himself in Eric a lot. And Kit said, let's do this documentary and let's just see how it goes. And it led up to him having the heart bypass. But it does show him being autistic, but more than anything, it shows his faith in God at a young age. The other piece of that is he was my sister passed away not too long ago. And he was very, very close to my sister. And you'll see her in the documentary with him and the relationship they share. So that documentary is very important. It's very important. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm so glad that you guys had an opportunity to do that. And I did watch it. And so I got to see your sister and to see the love that they shared with each other. So that was amazing. Also got to see, when we speak, you speak of spending a lot of his early years without a lot of support, and not really knowing what direction to go into. But what I saw in that documentary, as well as some of the subsequent videos that I watched on you guys, was how a community rallied around you guys at that time. So tell me a little bit about that, because you've gotten to meet a few amazing people. I'm a little bit jealous, I have to say. But I'm gonna keep my composure, Eric. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
He loves that part. Definitely nothing but God sent. Absolutely nothing but God. When we went through that, I lost my job because I'm Eric's only care provider, his caretaker, and it's just he and I for the most part. And so I was working at a private industry at the time, and I went to them and told them that my son was going to need to have a heart bypass, that I was going to need to take time off. And I didn't know how long that would be. So, she was very compassionate, and she said to me, she said, I've never lost sleep over anything, but I lost sleep over this. She said, we can't afford to hire a temp and keep you too, while you're going to be out. We can't afford to pay both ways like that. She said, so we're going to have to do a mutual agreement of termination. And so I understood, I said, absolutely. However, I did come home with my head in my hand, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to take care of us? And he's got to have this heart surgery. And God will send you what you need. He sent strangers, people I don't even know, have blessed Eric and I. I was at church one day, and one of the ushers walked up to me and gave me an envelope. And they said that someone came in to the church and gave them this envelope to give to me. And it was about close to $500 in the envelope. And I was like, oh my God, who, and they said, we don't know who it is. The person just walked in and said, give this to Eric and his mother. And they had saw the documentary. It also, he had been on Donnie Simpson's show, which is a radio station here. Donnie one time, but then Donnie's producer kept calling saying, bring him back again, the world loves here in the DMV. And every time he would put him on the air, Donnie's Twitter would go bananas. So with that, a lot of support came. People wrote me letters. I have a box right here that I can pull out and show you that people wrote me letters from everywhere. There's a famous restaurant here called Ben's Chili Bowl, and a lot of celebrities from way back in the day. It's very historical, especially in the Black community. And the owner of that restaurant, the Alleys, they just loved Eric. They fell in love with him. So they had this big hug stand community. And they announced that on the radio. So a lot of people came out that we don't know to meet Eric and I. People gave me cards. They gave money. They brought food to my home, so much food, I didn't even have anywhere to put it. I mean, I just, it was things like that. People came to the hospital, they cried with me, prayed with me. They wore over 300 t-shirts here in the community that says, I'm an advocate for Eric Grantham on the day of his surgery. Donnie Simpson kept them abreast of Eric's progress the day of the surgery. And so because of that, after the surgery, strangers started showing up at his school, showing up at the hospital. They wanted to know if he made it through. So they did a second half to the documentary to show it through. In the process of that, he got to meet Kirk Franklin, and what you see on the documentary. I'll let him tell you some of the people he's gotten to meet, because he absolutely loves Shirley Caesar.
So before you tell me about the people that you met and how that went, I just need you to know that I'm expecting my autograph of your autograph in the mail, okay? You know, and all of that. So now you can tell me about being a local celebrity, but I just need you to know I'm autograph to come.
Yeah.
Who'd you get to meet?
Mayor Bowser of District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. I met her. Mostly the famous one was the Jacksons.
The Jackson who?
The Jackson 5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they not the 5 no more.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the Jackson 5. Mm-hmm. It was an honor to meet them because I'm a huge fan of them and Michael. And man, my mom was mostly the one who was.
That's true.
You gotta give her a pass though, because that's big, right? I saw
big, right?
I saw TD Jakes. I saw Ty Tribbett.
Yeah.
Who else?
The Temptation, New Edition, many more.
Sergi
Caesar,
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
TD Jakes.
Bishop T. Jakes.
Joe
Osteen. Debbie Allen, Debbie Morgan,
Anthony Hamilton. Thanks to Miss Andrea Boone Young. We got to thank her for that.
Thank you, Miss Andrea.
Who made his wish come true. And the Cantons.
The Can Spirituals.
Mighty Clouds.
The Mighty Clouds of Joy.
So many.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, that sounds so cool. So cool. And I'm so glad that your story touched so many people so far away that they came to bless you during your time and as you were recovering. I know that's also around the same time that you started getting Jesus into your hair, right? You started putting Jesus across here in your hair. Tell me what that meant. What did that symbolize for you?
To show people that even though I'm a Christian, but I love Jesus, I always honor him. I wanted to, and I'm not afraid to show people that I love Jesus, and that's why I do it. And I don't care what people say and stuff like that. I love Jesus. He loved me. He saved me. He forgave me for my sins.
Come on, Bishop.
He crucified. He surrendered his life so we can have a life.
Come on now.
And I gotta say this: Jesus is amazing, and what he went. People hated him, but he rising from the dead last week, and I truly love Jesus, and I'm not gonna give him up, and I want to have him.
Well, that's great, and it's truly amazing. And let me tell you, it's really easy to see the Jesus in you, Eric. It really is. You're truly a gift. Linda, this question is for you. So you said he's going to be 17 soon, and you've watched him grow, you've watched him transition from one thing to the next, you've watched him struggle, you've watched him achieve. But as a mom, as a parent, you and I share that in common. And though I don't have a son that has autism, I am a special needs parent as well. And I know one of the things that I've struggled with is the let go. When your kid's path starts to go a little bit different than how you envisioned it and what it is that you thought for them. And Eric has taken a considerable number of leaps, in the things that he wanted to do. What has that experience been for you? How have you managed your let go?
It's really difficult in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Like for example, I can remember not too long ago, Eric came into my room, and so he said, "Mom," I think this was before COVID, I'm not really sure, but he said, "Mom, when I do get a girlfriend, that I have autism." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because she's not gonna like me." And so I didn't want him to see it, but I was devastated inside. And so I said, "Well, Eric, listen, if she doesn't like you, she doesn't need to be your girlfriend. You are amazing. You are an amazing person. You have a great heart. You're handsome. You're smart. I said, I don't ever want you to feel like you need to hide who you are for somebody to like you. That's when you said to me just now about, the path that I hope for him. What is that like? And so when he went back into his room, I busted out crying in my room because I want him to love who he is. I want him to like who he is, not look in the mirror and see him as being different or not see him as being inadequate or, what the rest of the world thinks about people who are different. So he just happened to come back in my room. Said, "Are you crying?" And so I said, "I am." And so he said, "Why? Did I say something wrong?" So I said, "Eric, I'm hurt that you're hurt. I'm hurt that you can't see for yourself how amazing you are. I don't ever want you to have to change or hide who you are for somebody else." I didn't even know he felt that way about himself until then. So when you talk about the let go, it's very difficult in every avenue for me to let go. I am what you would consider a helicopter mom. You know, you hover. That is me. That is definitely me. I hover over him and everything.
There is reform for you.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I want him to grow up and meet a beautiful woman that's going to love him, to honor him. And I teach him, to respect ladies. Don't ever, what do I tell you?
Don't ever hurt them.
Don't ever, right.
Treat them.
Right.
Treat them with respect.
Yeah.
Like you respect Jesus.
Absolutely. So, the let go is really hard for me. I can't really let go. The thing that I'm trying to be a little bit more positive about, because I know he has to navigate in the world and I'm not going to be around for him to do that, is, lately I'll have him meet me like maybe a couple of blocks away and I'll have him stay on the phone with me because he doesn't always know to look both ways when he crosses the street. We could be walking and I'll say, "Eric, look both ways before you step down." He'll say, "I'm not stupid, Mom." Yes, and I never said you were, but I'm telling you to look both ways. But he still doesn't look. So lately I've been having him stay on the phone with me and I'm 2 blocks away from him. And I'll say, "Before you get to that light, you let me know." And he said, "I'm at the light. Look both ways right now. Do you see it coming? Is the sign telling you to walk?" He has to learn to navigate in the world. So my let go is very difficult. I'm always worried about him. I'm always concerned about him.
So talking about him navigating the community and learning how to cross the street and things of that nature remind me of transition planning. And he's going to be 17 soon. We know that life is finite. And so there's going to be a time where he does need to navigate the world on his own. What programs are you working with in addition to the things that you're doing at home to start that process of transition?
So there's a transitional specialist in his school that I'm working with now. And we've been, as a matter of fact, we have a meeting coming up, I think in 2 weeks with Doors. The organization here, I don't know if you guys have it in Texas, but there's an organization here called Doors. And, they help them with like navigating in the world, getting a job. They actually go out with them, and teach them how to navigate, teach them how to work in the workplace. So I've been talking to them as well, because I know that he has to learn how to do that.
Okay. Eric, what's your favorite thing to do on your own?
Mostly says relax and says doing man stuff.
I heard that. And I ain't mad either.
Man stuff you like to do.
Football. Love watching sports.
Okay.
Making sure that my schoolwork is good.
Okay.
It's important to me. And says doing many more things and says trying to change lives for autism.
Okay. See, I like that you said doing man stuff and you included making sure your schoolwork was done in that. That's accountability. So kudos to you for that, for sure. Eric, tell us a little bit about Blue Runway for Autism. Now, I've seen some of the modeling pictures there. I'm a little bit scared of you. I'm gonna keep saying it because you on fire. But tell us a little bit about Blue Runway for Autism.
What we do is we go like around to different organizations and ask them like Macy's, Lauren Taylor's, and ask them, can we use their clothes for the autism kids we have it for the fashion show. So
Okay.
what we do, we ask some of my friends and different autism kids who we don't even know to be in our fashion shows. So they feel special.
Oh,
And we are changing lives for autism. We want to change lives. And what I really want is our Blue One Way to go around the world
me too.
and like do rehearsals where we ask autism kids what you want to be, and then we invite them to fashion shows and stuff like
Okay.
that.
Linda,
That's
where did you get the idea from?
From me. Mhm.
What made you start this program, Linda?
So when Eric was younger, whenever I would take him to the barber shop and he'd get a haircut, and I would always say, Eric, you look so handsome. And he would say, Mommy, do I look Hollywood? I would say, you look Hollywood. And it just boost his self-esteem. His self-esteem went through the roof. And then when he would get his clothes on after he get a haircut, you couldn't tell him nothing, absolutely nothing. So I started thinking like, what if I did this with other kids? I wonder would they feel the same way? And so it was successful and effective.
That's what's up. That's a great opportunity for your community. Really enjoy that. So you're in the DMV area, just so you know, we do have a DMV Mob United chapter there that I will connect you to,
Thank
because
you.
this would certainly be something that we would love to partner with your efforts. So I will email you separately with that, but I definitely want to connect you there.
Listen,
So
we would love to have you guys, Miss Kimberly, on the runway. We would love to have you come out for
on
that.
the runway, that sounds great. All
Mhm.
right, well, Eric, future plans. I know you want to open up a community center. I know you want to do a reality show. Tell us more about what it is you want to do in the future.
what I want to do is just have my own TV show,
Okay.
bring autism parents and just tell them about what they have to do with their life for autism, with having a children having a child with autism. That's our want. And says telling stories and says and telling people that you should not judge autism first. And if you will know about autism, you will love them.
Aw.
That's I really want. It says do more things than autism. I just want to do a lot for the community.
So before we segue to my last question for Eric and close out, I just want to say to you, Linda, Eric is exceptional, but he wouldn't be
You.
exceptional without an exceptional mother. So it
Thank
is
you so
truly
much.
a
I really
pleasure
appreciate that.
to
Thank you. And thank you
work
for
with you
having
on this
us.
project.
Thank
Um, and the last point I want to talk about, which we haven't gotten to, is Eric, you've done 4 singles, right? You've written 4 songs and put out 4 singles. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the first song was What's His Name in 2016 after my heart surgery.
Hmm.
To the studio and we went to record it, and that was my first hit. And now it's the song He Woke Me Up. So
Hmm.
He Woke Me Up is tribute to, if you haven't seen it, and it's on YouTube, and when it comes, it will show like the COVID-19, and it's just gonna show you a lot. And why I made it is because when the COVID was just really starting last year, a lot of people were dying, but you need to thank God that God woke you up and you healthy, and don't be and you don't have to be scared. That's why I made it, because you need to thank God that He woke me up. Now it got a bunch of views, and we hope it will get a lot of views more.
All right. I did have the pleasure of watching it. And as we close out, I want to thank you, Eric, for coming on and sharing your story and providing us your time. And I'm going to actually ask you to go ahead and close us out with the beginning part and the chorus of that song.
Let me know if it's too loud, Kimberly.
Okay.
Come on, everybody, clap your hands. Hallelujah. He woke us up. He woke me up. He woke me up. He woke me up. He started me on my way with mercy and grace. I fell to my knees and I prayed. Thank you, Lord, for another day. He woke me up. He woke me up. He woke me up. Your mercy and grace, you let me see another day. Woo! He woke
All right.
me up. Mercy and grace on his way. This morning, he woke me up. He woke me up. Mercy and grace on his way. This morning, King of kings and Lord of lords, Prince of peace, my everything. He woke me up. He woke you up. He woke you up. This morning, bread and wine, my sunshine, great I am, Alpha, Omega, my Savior, chosen one, God's only Son, my best friend, my beginning, my end, bread of life, husband and wife, mother and father, sister and brother. He woke me up. He woke you up. He woke me up. This morning, he woke you up. He woke me up. What's his name? What's his name? Alpha, Omega. He woke me up. He woke me up. He woke me up. Woo! He woke me up. He woke me up. He woke me up. Woo!
Thank you so much, Eric. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric blessed Carpenter Grantham, the first in our series of sharing the talents of our autistic sons. I can't thank you enough for being here. Thank you so much, and you guys have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for having us.
Thank you, Miss
Mom.
Kimberly.
Thank you, Moms of Black Boys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a wonderful evening and a great weekend.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.